Hello everyone, and welcome to my review for Record of Ragnarok Episode 3. I have to say, I'm very glad that I've been going on Twitter and stuff, seeing how a lot of people are decrying this anime as the worst thing ever. The worst thing since, Berserk 2016. Because I guess it has subconsciously lowered my expectations so much that when we get to this episode and there's, at the very least, decent quality animation, I'm genuinely kind of impressed and pleasantly surprised by it. So yeah, this episode is not bad at all. I'd go so far as to say that it's pretty good. There are a few reasons for that, and I'll get into them right now. For starters, the actual animation in this episode is not bad. You still have a lot of the still frame stuff, which is not great, but you actually had a fairly decent amount of actual, moving animation. Most of Lulu's attacks and movements looked pretty good. Some of Thor's movements were fairly fluid. I was actually kind of most impressed by Rangri's transformation, which I don't think we actually saw in the manga. It's kind of goofy, it's kind of cartoony because you're watching someone turn into a fucking halberd, but it was actually fairly well animated. I have to say, on the whole, it seems like at certain points, they've actually dedicated a decent amount of time and money to making certain parts of the fight look good, or at least have some degree of movement and fluidity. Once again, you still have a not great number of borderline still shots, but, this is, better than what I feared we would get, to be honest. It seemed like there were a lot of people, way too many people, that were hyping themselves up for this. I don't know if we watched the same trailers or not, but when I saw that first trailer, I was like, ooh, I don't know, Chief, I'm a little nervous. And even when we got the trailers after that, even though they showed more animation, there was still a lot of stuff where I was like, oh god, oh, I don't know about this. And it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Once again, a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of you guys in my Discord server, you need to calm the fuck down. It is nowhere near as bad as you're saying it is. Could it be a lot better? Yeah. Could it be a lot worse? Oh, you fucking bet it could be. I disagree with the idea that average is worse than bad, because looking at bad animation makes me want to die. Whereas looking at average animation makes me think, hey, that's mildly enjoyable to look at. And mildly enjoyable to look at is better than making me want to gouge my eyes out. So, the animation in this episode was pretty good. I'm wondering what they're going to do when you have the finish of the fight, Thor's hammer clashing with Sky Eater. We'll see what happens there. I don't know, because that was pretty crazy and movement-filled, and I'm already aware of a crazy and movement-filled part coming up later that got turned into a slideshow. So, we'll be cautiously optimistic and see what happens from there with the animation. In addition to the pretty decent animation in this episode, we also get some pretty good directing. I think, if I understand correctly, this is the director's debut. He's never worked on an anime before, and he's doing a pretty good job for someone's first time. I would say, on the whole, the directing is probably better than the animation, but they have some really good shot composition, some really good shots in general. I feel like a lot of the stitched together shots, where you have multiple being shown in different parts of the screen, they're doing that a bit less now, and I'd say the ones that they are doing are a bit better. Trying to emulate when you have a bunch of reaction panels on a manga page doesn't always work out. I'm not the biggest fan of the way that they do it in this anime, but they've kind of toned it down a little bit, and the way that they're doing it's a little better from what we had of it in this episode. I also liked some of the stuff that they did with Thor's posing, Thor's hammer, some of the lighting in the scene. I liked a lot of it. A lot of it was pretty good. We got some more voice acting. I feel like I probably shouldn't bring up voice acting too much until we get new ones, but Thor did a good job. I really liked Thor's voice in this episode. Also, Lulu's, they're supposed to be the stars of this round, so them doing a better job than well, actually, no, not doing a better job, but them having good voice actors for their roles is a pretty good thing, and I'd say they're doing a pretty bang-up job. We've only heard a little bit of Adams and Kojiro's from the trailers. They sound pretty good. I'm eager to hear more of them. Also, Zeus got quite a few more lines in this episode. We got more of him, like, fucking, spasming out over being excited about Ragnarok. And, I'm sort of digging his voice more. As I mentioned previously, he has Okuyasu's voice actor, and I think he's pretty good for the role. I'm eager to hear what it sounds like when Zeus is, fighting in his buffed up form. I imagine it'll probably be a bit different, maybe a little deeper or a little more serious. I'm eager to see that. And also, we got more of Hermes talking in this episode, and I have to say, I actually really like Hermes VA. I don't remember who he is, but I think he does a pretty good job. Definitely a voice I would expect to hear from Hermes. Last thing, we got some more OSTs playing in this episode. It was a little more prominent, and I have to actually say, now that we're getting into more of the actual OST, I actually quite like the soundtrack. I think they actually did a pretty good job. That may be one of the better parts of this anime, is the soundtrack is actually pretty good. I don't think we have anything iconic yet. I'm kind of doubting we'll get anything that ends up being iconic. But overall, it's a pretty solid soundtrack. I'm wondering what they're going to do for some of the big moments that come up. Stuff that happens next episode, Fist That Surpassed Time, a few moments in Kojiro's fight. I'm wondering if they are going to be hitting the way that they need to when those scenes come up. So far, I'm led to believe they probably will, but yeah, I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to set too high of expectations. Maybe that's the lesson of this anime, is just temper your expectations so that you're not really disappointed. That's my lesson from here. That's your lesson from Missed Content for today. Temper your expectations so that you're not always disappointed by things. Maybe I'm really high on copium or something, but I did not expect this anime to be all that. So far, it's not all that, so it's met and surpassed some of my fairly low expectations. So, with that, that's all I have to say about Episode 3 of Record of Ragnarok. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Record of Ragnarok chapter reviews every month, and I'm going to be churning out a few of these reviews every day, so this will probably be the last one today. Expect a few more tomorrow. If you enjoy other series such as Jujutsu Kaisen and Kengan Omega, I do videos in those series as well, so if you're interested in those, you should definitely check out my channel. You should also check out my backup channel, since I have 2 strikes on this one. I have that one linked down in the description. You should subscribe, just in case anything happens to this channel. If you enjoy discussing Record of Ragnarok with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest check out my Discord server. I have linked that down in the description. And finally, since it's the end of the video, it's time to give a shout out to my wonderful patrons, Archbear CJ2K, Fuse, Neo, Dijon Redden, Anthony Chavez, Honey Mustard, Zach Rowitz, K-God, Chris Redfield, Scratch23, Moonshadow935, Rat, and Ryzen4K. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And if you too want to get a shout out at the end of videos or access to some extra content, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.